Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm a SQL Server DBA. I'm going to give you a brief tutorial on SQL Server Snapshots. It's a bit of a mouthful, and I'll try not to say that too many times. Now, a snapshot is a read-only static view of a source database as it existed when you created the snapshot. Now, bear in mind that the snapshot database is completely dependent on the source database. So if you have a problem with your SAN or your source database is corrupt, so will your snapshot be, and they also need to be located on the same instance. All right. Now you can get snapshots in version SQL 2005 and 2008 Enterprise editions. You won't get it on SQL 2000 or version or below. Okay, so let's jump right in and let's have a quick look at how we create a snapshot. You'll see over here, here's your snapshot container. I'll just refresh that. I don't have any at the moment, and I'm going to use the AdventureWorks database as the source database. I'm going to create a snapshot on it. Now, all the syntax you'll see here, you can actually look at if you go View Template Explorer and you go Database, you'll see Create Database Snapshot. So that's the template. You don't need to worry too much about having to remember that. You can always come back here. So what I need to do is I need to say create database. Now what I want to call it, I want to call it AdventureWorks. What's it, 9 August 2010, and the time, let's say for example, is 2100. That's what I will call the database snapshot. Okay, now I want it on name equals, okay, now I'm going to have to quickly go look for the logical name of the source database. In this case, it will be AdventureWorks. So I'm just going to do a help file on AdventureWorks, make sure I'm in the AdventureWorks context. That's the guy, that's the logical name. So I'm going to put him over there. File name equals, now what I want to call it, and you put the full path in. So I'm going to put it in temp, and I've got a folder called snap, and I'm actually going to call it that full name dot. Now you can call this whatever you like. There's no limitation here. You can call it dot whatever on, as snapshot of the original database. In this case, this is AdventureWorks. Okay, it's not going to work. All right, let me just check that for syntax errors. Looks okay. Executed. It looks happy. Let's refresh up here. And there you go. So we've now got a database snapshot of the AdventureWorks database. And this is really a full replica, read-only replica of the AdventureWorks database. Now, this is actually using NTFS sparse files. So this file here in the ctemp snap folder, that file over there is an NTFS sparse file, which means that it's actually taking up at the moment no space at all on the disk. Even though it'll say that the file size is the same size as the AdventureWorks database, it's not. The only time it starts filling up is when you actually do changes to the AdventureWorks database, and before it makes those changes, it writes out a copy of the original pages and stores it in the file. And so this will grow based on how frequently the data pages here are changing. It's called a copy and write operation. And so you need to be aware of that. The largest this file can get is if all of these data pages change over here. So the largest it can get is basically the size of this AdventureWorks file. If a page gets changed again and again and again, it doesn't matter, because the snapshot's only interested in the original data page. So it won't get any bigger if the same page is written over and over again. Okay, so let's have a quick look inside. I'm going to just have a look at one of the system views. So if I look at select, let me just select star from sys.databases. Okay, where source database ID, thank you, IntelliText, is not null. Okay, so what is this going to do for us? Have a look down here. That's the name of the snapshot database. It's telling us its ID is number 12, and that its source database is actually number 9, which is the AdventureWorks database. Actually linked. Right, so we said that the source database ID is 9. Now you may be wondering, well, how do you know that number 9 is in fact AdventureWorks? Well, you can do a select star from sys databases, and you can have a look. Select star from sys.databases, and let's just run that. And you can see that database ID number 9 is in fact AdventureWorks, so that's how you know. Okay, let's have a look at the size on disk. Let's figure out how we do this. So let's just select dbid, that's not going to work, dbid, file name, not file name, file ID, bytes on disk from, now there's a function called fn underscore virtual, that's it, virtual stats. Now the database ID of the snapshot database was 12, and we pass null for the second parameter, and we get a bytes on disk size over here. I'm just going to copy that up to have a look at exactly how big that is. That's 131K. Alright, now I'm going to do the same for number 9, which you'll recall was AdventureWorks. We don't need that. And that's the data file, and we're going to put that over here. And let's have a look at how big. Okay, 178 meg is the size of the data file on the AdventureWorks database, and you can see that we're only using 131K at the moment for our snapshot database. So let's have a look at how we can how the size might change, and also how we can use snapshots for granular recovery. So I'm going to go into AdventureWorks, and I'm going to go into programmability, stored procedures, and you can see here one is called USP get bill of materials, and I'm going to drop it. See you later, it's gone. I've actually deleted it. Okay, oh dear, we need to get it back. Now this may not be a drop, it may be that you're doing a change which is altering stored procedures, views, could be dropping objects, it could be doing data manipulation, could be doing anything, and you can use your original database to actually do either a granular recovery of that object, or you can actually revert your entire database back to what it was initially. So let's just have a quick look at what that dropping of that store procedure might have done to the file size. So I'm going to run this again for our database ID 12, i.e. our snapshot database, and let's see what happens. Okay, bytes on disk now is this size. I'm going to put that next to what it was, or below what it was. Let's just move that up a bit. It's now 983K. So you can see the size has grown. Why? Because we made a change to the data pages of the original database, and to preserve those pages, it has copied them to our sparse file. That's the file up here, and so the file has obviously got bigger. Okay, now let's talk about how we can actually recover that lost that deleted stored procedure. So let's open up our database snapshot. If we go programmability, stored procedures, there it is, the get bill of materials. It's still there. Why? Because we copied the original data pages out, so we still have it in our snapshot. Remember, snapshot is a read only. I'll prove to you. Let me try and delete something there. Yep, see you later. Oops, won't let us do it. Why? Failed to update database because it is read only. You cannot make a change to a snapshot database, but I can get my bill of materials back to my original database. I can recover it. So I'll script that out as a create to a new window. I'm going to delete this over here, and I'm going to create that in the AdventureWorks database, and that then should have created it over here. And there it is.